Hello, ladies and gentlemen. D Jose 101 here. And before I get started with what I'd like to talk about, I'd like to comment on the feud between Bobby Black and myself of the Unsquared Circle. I have been getting a lot of um, hate in this feud that we've got going on, and it's been getting taken way too serious. So, right now, I would like to offer an apology and a peace treaty to Bobby Black. I think he's a great YouTuber. Even though he's got 142 subscribers, I still feel as though he's very underrated. He definitely deserves to get really over on YouTube, and I'd like to just put an end to this meaningless feud. So, Bobby, U2C, I'm sorry, and I hope you all can forgive me and we can move on. Now, getting on to what I'd like to talk about, which would be uh, my top five favorite new ECW moments. The reason why I'm doing this is because ECW is going to be ending in about 2 weeks, as I'm sure most of us know. And um, let me get started on it. Coming in at number five would be Bobby Lashley winning the ECW Championship in the first and only Extreme Elimination Chamber in 2006. The participants you had were Hardcore Holly, RVD, Test, CM Punk, Lashley, and Big Show. Which Bobby Lashley came to ECW after Big Show had been a dominant heel ECW champion for months after beating Rob Van Dam. And then the build-up going into the Extreme Elimination Chamber was kind of cool, but it was pretty obvious that you knew Lashley was going to win. And Sabu was supposed to be in the match, but due to behavioral problems, he ended up getting taken out of the match, which kind of sucked. And then they had to replace him with Hardcore Holly, which didn't make it any better. And then anyway, it came down to Lashley and Big Show. Big Show was a bloody mess. They had a good back and forth for probably about 5 or 10 minutes into the match. 5 or 10 minutes toward the end of the match, Lashley managed to hit a spear on Big Show. 1, 2, 3, and Lashley would capture his first ECW championship. Coming in at number four would be Mr. McMahon becoming the ECW champion. Now, by 2007, ECW was very watered down. It wasn't great, or it wasn't the product that we all once knew and loved back then. It was a pretty decent, pretty mediocre product, nothing too spectacular. And you had Bobby Lashley, who had just defeated Umaga in a decent hair versus hair match, which Donald Trump was representing Bobby Lashley and Umaga was represented by Mr. McMahon. Umaga lost, Vince got his head shaved, and Vince and Shane and Umaga made Bobby Lashley's life a living hell. And then at Backlash, Vince managed to defeat Bobby Lashley while Shane and Umaga did most of the work. And then Vince became the ECW champion, and he had a hilarious gimmick after that where he was acting like a gangster, which made no sense, but I thought it was funny. Coming in at number three would be the New Breed versus the ECW Originals in an Extreme Rules match. Because for those of you that don't remember or wasn't really watching ECW at that time, Vince McMahon brought in Elijah Burke, and he said that he was the new leader of ECW and the face of ECW. And then Elijah Burke, Kevin Thorne, Matt Striker, and Marcus Corvon, aka Monty Brown from TNA, formed a group to show the ECW Originals consisting of Sabu, the Sandman, Tommy Dreamer, and everybody's favorite, Rob Van Dam, how ECW should be constructed and how it's the new way of ECW. And long story short, the Originals won at WrestleMania 23, which I didn't agree with. They should have had the New Breed go over. But considering that this was an Extreme Rules match, I guess on ECW, the New Breed wanted to show the Originals that they're better at their own game, and they did just that. We saw kendo sticks, 2x4, chairs all over the place, and the ending of the match came when Elijah Burke hit that sick Elijah Express from the turnbuckle where he takes it with his knees, and then he drove his knees right into the back of Sabu through the table. Coming in at number 2 would be Edge and Mick Foley versus Terry Funk and Tommy Dreamer at One Night Stand 2006. We had Mick Foley recently, who turned heel to form an alliance with Edge and Lita, and they proclaimed themselves as the hardcore champions of WWE. And Paul Heyman took exception to that, and he dragged in Tommy Dreamer and Terry Funk. And Beulah, who was in Tommy Dreamer and Terry Funk's corner, decided to make this a 6-person tag team match, also involving Lita. This was probably one of the greatest tag match in ECW that I have ever seen. There were crazy spots in this match. There was a barbed wire table that got involved, and Edge and Foley did a double suplex onto like Terry Funk and Tommy Dreamer, and then Edge and Foley ended up fighting each other on that table, and then Edge did a spear to Terry Funk through the table, and then we saw the classic barbed wire 2x4 wrapped around in fire, which was used by Terry Funk on Mick Foley. It was great. And then the ending of the match came when Edge speared Beulah and did that nasty cover. 1, 2, 3, Edge and Foley won. Now to my number 1 moment, which this is going to be a great moment, and I know most everybody in the internet wrestling community will agree with this. John Cena getting booed out of the building for the WWE title at One Night Stand 2006, with RVD representing everything that was anti-WWE and Cena representing the WWE. We saw the crowd hate Cena that night. That was actually one of the best wrestling crowds I've seen in years. They were very anti-Cena. They did not like Cena whatsoever. We heard chants of F you Cena, same old shit, you can't wrestle. And RVD was very over in that match. Everything he did a spot where Cena was on the guardrail, RVD was on the apron, and he did a spinning wheel kick onto Cena's back. It was great. And then I'm running out of time here, so let me get to long story short. It was a pretty good back and forth match, and then Edge came out under the ring, speared Cena through a table. Rob Van Dam hit the 5-star frog splash. Paul Heyman comes out, counts the 3 count, and RVD is the first ever new ECW champion and WWE champion, which was a huge markout moment. I'd actually like Bobby Black's opinion on this, and I hope he really responds to it. I'd like to see what he has to say about this match, and I hope you guys have something to say about your top 5 favorite moments in the new ECW as well. Please feel free to leave your comments and feedback, and I really appreciate it. Thank you all for watching. Peace.